Generation Next, where we dive you through to the interesting lives of the people that are influencing the youth out there in the country. Today we have our first guest who is not any new to many people out there who are watching us today live on Star TV. This guy, young man, sitting next to me is the Ghetto Pen. So, as you all know, the Ghetto Pen is not any mere pick outside in the streets. He is the guy who's been known as a phenomenal writer and the voice of the ghetto. I think before we even go further with our program, we can give the floor to the man himself, introduce himself to the many people out there who are watching us today live on Kasa TV. This is the Ghetto Pen. That's your floor.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, this is a blessing. It is a great pleasure and a profound honor to be here today as your guest for the first edition or the first show of the Generation Next. You know, I'm so grateful and honored. Yeah, so I'm named Ghetto Pen. I am the #1 top seller in the South. I am the product of the ghetto, voice of the ghetto, representing the ghetto. Also, I am a social justice warrior, human rights defender, and an agent of positive change. So I do this through my write-ups and poetry, you know, articles, storytelling, you know, and the like. So all geared towards creating himself and also, you know, transforming the lives of people positively. So briefly, this is the Ghetto Pen. Thank you.
Oh, okay. The Ghetto Pen, we at Kasa TV are very proud to be here today with you. We've already realized the impact, the positive impact you're influencing out there in the streets, in the ghettos, in school, at school, everywhere you go, we can hear the sound of the ghetto youth out there. You are always talking about the Ghetto Pen and the impact you're doing out there. What influenced your work as a ghetto defender?
Yeah, thank you so much. Definitely, right now, this name is becoming is trending. You know, the ghetto youth is making waves out there in the streets, all because of the you know, that I'm trying to create ideas for the youth. So, what actually influenced me is, you know, what is going on in culture. So I feel the need to contribute to influence people positively. And I do this through looking to poetry, essays, articles, and the like.
So in your perspective, in this regard, you think the youth are the most, or if not the most, if not the most vulnerable class of our society?
Yeah, definitely I would say yes. The youths are the most vulnerable, especially the people youths out there, because most of them, you know, are around the streets, trying to struggling hard. So I think they are the most vulnerable. They are unemployed, unemployment, you know, poverty, and lack of opportunities is definitely affected the.
So in your writing, we can feel a great sense of people to be righteous in whatsoever they do. How do you define righteousness and justice, and how do you incorporate these values into your work?
Oh,
as a writer?
Yeah, as a writer and as a ghetto youth, righteousness, oneness, of the key values that are instilled in us. If you go out there in the street and engage with any ghetto youth, they will advocate for goodness, righteousness. So righteousness, as far as I'm concerned, is basically conforming to the truth. Talking about or advocating the truth.
Yeah, as our society is right now, the youth, just as you mentioned, are one of the most vulnerable classes in our generation today. And then you kind of did this blame on the system. If you have an advice for the youth that are on the back way right now, that are tracking the back way right now, that are on these desperate journeys, what advice would you have for them?
Oh, the bad way is indeed very sad, definitely. So disheartening. Before even advising, I would like to give some of the causes of this bad way. I want to believe that nepotism, corruption, unemployment, poverty are some of the reasons, that propel youth to take up the back way, this risky route to Libya towards Europe.
So meaning it is not a priority choice for them. It's
Yeah,
out of desperation that they are on these ways.
yeah, definitely it's out of desperation. It's out of desperation. But hadn't been everything was all right here. You are enjoying the life, enjoying the basic needs, food, shelter, clothing. Then I don't think any ghetto youth out there will feel the need to take up the back route, which is very risky. Even in one of my pieces, Entitled was forced to choose the back way. If you go through that write-up, you will realize that I am trying to bring out the reasons, as to why people are taking up such a risky road.
And that is a write-up that made a wave, quite a wave, the
Yeah.
write-up of yours.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people,
Because
yeah.
it talked a lot about the youths, how desperate the youths are, how hungry they are for success, and they feel so, pinned in this country that they can't do anything unless they go out there. That was actually what was in that write-up. So, I mean, how desperate it is that this is always trending. It is still trending. Since your write-up today is over 8 months or so, and still this is trending, meaning the numbers are not going down. People are still on these ways, whether you know or not. 9 out of 10 are still thinking about what if I go, what if I choose the back way.
Yeah, this is because despite the back rating, they have conducted a lot of seminars, conferences, trying to educate people about the negative consequences of back way. There is high chances that you're gonna die here, but then still, people are taking up this risky route. You feel me? So I think something is going wrong somewhere, definitely. Yeah, because with all these seminars, they're talking about the back way is irregular, it's an irregular form of migration, yet still people are taking up the back way. So we need to look at the root cause of the problem, corruption, nepotism, and unemployment and poverty in the system is what is propelling the youth, to take up this risk route. So until and unless we address these issues, then we will continue to have people taking up this risk route. Because we have seen Like for example, this Gambian professional who sent for AS Roma, Ebrima, making waves in Europe. He took up the back way, and now he has changed his family, and he has succeeded. And now he is doing well.
And he is raising the flag of the country up in the air.
Exactly. So this is one of the reasons why people feel the need to go to Baghdad, because there is limited opportunity here, and most of these opportunities are given to people who have connections in the system. So if you are coming from a background where you don't have any connection or backup or inheritance, then you will surely take up the back way and try to change the situation and better it.
You expect the government to intervene and bring up plans to mitigate these issues that we're facing, the realities that we're facing right now about this back way, issue. Okay, if the government is not putting this into a serious conversation, this is not a conversation on the table for the government to discuss about how many youths are using this back way to go and be refugees out there in Europe. If it is not a serious conversation on the table in the office of the president, do you think they have ideas on how to mitigate these issues, on how to deal with these issues to make sure that the youths that are vying on this pathway instead stay in this country and make ends meet?
Yeah, with respect to this bagway or any other, issue that we are facing as a country, I think the government alone cannot do it. You feel me? All hands must be on deck. The government, philanthropists, civil society, international organizations, like everyone should come on board and try to help the youth. Seriously, with respect to conversations, they have been talking about it. They have been talking about it. So far, I can't name, but I can tell you that we have a lot of conferences, seminars, workshops where they try to discourage people, to take up this bargaining thing. But we don't only have to limit ourselves in talking.
So you mean
it's not all about talking, but then to back it up with action.
So you mean theoretically they are doing well, but when it comes to implementation, that is where they stop.
Exactly my point.
So they need to do more on that implementation to see to it that people believe, people are energized, the youths are made turn into believers than doubters. Because as long as the youths remain doubters, there is no way they're gonna be so comfortable to stay. Instead, they're gonna use the pathway.
Exactly. Yeah. So all they need to do, as far as action is concerned, is to stop the corruption in the system. Because if there is corruption, if there is nepotism, if there is unemployment in the country, then the situation in the country will not be appealing at all.
So you mean,
and this is what will.
So you mean, corruption, nepotism, and then unemployment. These are the three conversations that the government should prioritize right now.
Exactly.
Because they are the main reason for all this.
Exactly. Anything, if you want to address any issue, you have to look at the root cause. So as far as I'm concerned, these are the root causes. And until and unless we address them, we will not have what we want. We will be here, conducting seminars, conferences, year in, year out. Nothing will change, absolutely. Because if you're talking about this illegal migration thing and continue corrupting, there will be hardship, sufferation, and people will take up the back way. Yeah. And also, philanthropists, and other international organizations, can come in, can step in to help the government in the implementation of it, creating jobs, job opportunities for the youth. We have youths out there who are living with talents and skills that can make them millionaires, you know. So you can build the capacity of these youth. Like for example, we have some philanthropists in the Gambia that are doing well. We need to recognize them, like the current president of TNT Football Club. We have seen him constructing a field, you know, playing ground. We are in every youth, you know, will be given the opportunity, or he will see his leveling the ground for every youth to flourish. So these are some of the things that we want. We want our philanthropists out there. We want international organizations to invest in the youth, you know, support them financially, you know, build their capacity, you know, provide the facilities that they need. Then there will not be a need to take up the back way, definitely.
Just like the president of the TNT Football Club, so one could say you would have expect, I mean, the Gambians out there that has the financial strength to influence positively in the well-being of the people out there, the well-being of the youths, to level the ground for the youths to be able to showcase their skills. So that shows that you expect those people out there that has the financial muscles to come and invest in the country.
Exactly. Those with the financial wherewithal, you know, should step up, you know, and there should be support from the private sector also. You feel me? It is not the amount of money that you make that makes you great. You know, it is your ability to impact society positively.
Of the program, we still have some time to go, some other time, and I also to the audience out there that they're gonna feel more interesting about this at the end of the day than even what we've already gone through. Come work and this is your show Generation Next on Friday. So this is our first invitee who is the Ghetto Pen. So come ko dal tamu di wahe rek like this, so we will make sure that you assil len ñoo xamantene they are influential and they are doing impact out there on the society, on the well-being of the youth, as this program is being invented for the youth. So balaño muna dem si kanam on these, we still have a way to slide on. Then balaño muna dem ñu may get up and reintroduce Bopam to the people that are already joining us right now. So the Get Up and the floor is yours.
Yeah,
to the people joining now.
Those joining us, you know, this is the #1 top seller in Caribbean South. You know, the Get Up and product of the ghetto, voice of the ghetto, and representing the ghetto. Like I said earlier, I am a human rights defender, you know, an agent of positive change and a social justice warrior. Yeah, this is just briefly about me.
Yeah, so Ghetto Pen, a product of the ghetto, but a guy who is doing so phenomenal out there, who is punching above his weight, because the influence we've already gathered out there. Nit mun naa wax ne is an influence boo xamante ne nit su ko déggee dafa foog ne the ghetto youth might be in his 40s or 45s, you know. When you are still a young guy, you're still young and you're doing big out there. The most interesting part is the Ghetto Pen is part of the ghetto, still part of the ghetto, born and bred of the ghetto. But this guy is pursuing his law degree and he's a second-year student at the university. What influences you to be able to carry both these two along? With many people out there believe there are two things you have. You cannot be part of the ghetto and yet you want to pursue a career in academics. What would you say to those people that are such a notion deep in here?
Well, I am forever a ghetto youth. You feel me? So I believe in jack of all trades, you know, and being a master in all you do. You feel me? So as far as I'm a law student, that doesn't mean that I cannot be a ghetto youth or I cannot be a writer or I cannot be a footballer. We have law students that are making waves in every field, We have law students that are making waves in football. We have law students that are making waves in basketball or sports or other activities. So it doesn't matter whether I am a law student. That doesn't change anything. In the ghetto, you find law students there, you find permanent secretaries there, you find ministers there, you find politicians there, you find people from all walks of life. The ghetto is just a place where people sit, you know, talk about national issues, political, social, economic issues, you know, and brew attire and spread the peace and love. Most of this, the notion that the people have out there about ghetto youth, like they're just there smoking, chilling, listening to music, or gossiping, that is not the case. You feel me? People sit there. It doesn't mean that if you sit in the ghetto, you don't have anything meaningful to do. You just choose to sit there because you are a social butterfly. Could you imagine you closing from work and going in the sitting room, in the house there? Sometimes it's so boring, but at least if you come to the ghetto, you have the opportunity to converse with people, from different walks of life. At least you also gain insight from people who are in different fields. Me as a law student, I should not only limit myself to pursuing law or reading or studying law. I can also learn other things from other people in the ghetto, or yes, other people in the ghetto.
That will sharpen your faculties.
Exactly, broaden my academic horizon and also my networking with other people. So I think it's not something difficult. The two can go together.
So meaning, like, wheresoever one can come from, one can hail from, you still should be opportune as son of all, or to pursue careers in the economy.
Education, like you were saying, you mean education, right? Yeah, education is a fundamental human right, the right to education, and it is provided for in our constitution. So it doesn't mean that you are a ghetto youth or you are a permanent secretary, or you are a footballer. The right to education is open for, so everybody is entitled to this right, and is entitled to enjoy this right. So the fishmonger, the ghetto youth, the minister out there, anybody can exercise this right guaranteed under the Constitution.
Yeah. So, as per your write-ups, as per what you've already done in your work of art, of writing, can you share some examples of how your writing has positively impacted the lives of young people in the ghetto?
Yeah. If you look at my write-up, it's all about substance, truth, and inspiration. If my words don't inspire, definitely I will not write. So I believe my write-up is created a deep impact in the lives of people. One example I can cite is one of these write-ups that I have written entitled Aloneness, where I stated that I feel abandoned like a bottom of a lake, So feel abandoned like a stone at the bottom of a lake, me alone against the wall, wandering, and this drives me insane. So those who are supposed to help us are the ones destroying us better than the earthquake. Now I'm left with no option but to sit calm and listen to the melodious voice of Drake, which frees my mind and makes me contemplate about hypocrite rather than depending on people with sharp mouths just like a razor blade. So now, how did this poem influence or impact these people? When I shared this piece, most of the reactions that I got from particularly ghetto youths is that, bro, look, instead of now depending, on my brother who is abroad out there, or we are in August, waiting for waiting for luck to rain. I will now have to buckle up, and rise to the occasion, and try to fight for my own, And if I do, I can unlock the poverty code with my own keys, and by that way, I will be respected. So this has definitely, shaped the mind of those ghetto youths, and it has impacted them. Another impact is this space, no to human trafficking. Most of these ghetto youths are out there, but they are not inclined with, or they are not informed about human trafficking. So recently, we celebrated the National Day Against Human Trafficking. So I authored a piece, condemning. It was entitled "No to Human Trafficking." So when I shared it, to my friends out there, like the ghetto youths, they also reacted and was like, "What is this happening in the country? Is this happening around the world?" So I was opportune to be trained by, I attended a training organized by UNODC. So where I understood these issues about human trafficking. So I decided to, the knowledge acquired, I shared it with them, and told them about this as a reality, so they were informed at the end of the day. And I believe that is an impact, because now if you go out there and tell them about human trafficking, you will not be able to deceive them. So definitely, as far as the ghetto youth is concerned.
I mean, if you talk about transparency and then accountability in our offices, public entities, and institutions, these are the things that the ghetto youths, what do you think is the best way for them to advocate for justice?
Yeah, accountability and transparency, these are important features of a democratic society. So in whatever organization, as ghetto youths, we are advocates for truth, accountability, and transparency. So I believe one of the ways might be through, writing. Yeah, because anything that anything wrong or that needs to be rectified, you have three ways. In my belief, you have three ways to tackle it. It's either you write against it, right, because I believe I have the talent in that way. Or if there is a need to protest and drag them to court, definitely we will advocate for that, and we are going to hold them accountable.
Yeah, I saw you write a lot about the purchasing of those Toyota Prado vehicles for the National Assembly members, where you advocated strongly against the purchasing of. You have opted for the Assembly, for the government, in hand with the National Assembly, to buy vehicles that were more cheaper, that were in line with the economic standards of the country. Do you think there was enough accountability, enough transparency in the procurement of those vehicles?
Wow.
Because there was this, sense of doubt in this whole process, where people were like, this is the cost, this is the percentage that the, National Assembly members are gonna contribute, this is what the government is gonna contribute. And those numbers kept on changing. But yet there is a number on the paper that is not changing. There is a figure on the paper. But the figure that is with the people was not constant.
Yeah.
So meaning there might have been a bit of
that is kind of shady to me, and kind of dubious, because I think if such things happen, this has to do with it's a national issue. It has to do with taxpayers' money. You feel me? So it has to be transparent. It should be based on accountability and transparency. So they need to tell us, how and where they got the money from and how they are going to spend it. You feel me? So that 2.5, I don't know, 3.5 million Prado, Toyota Prado, definitely, is senseless to me, and I don't actually support it, and I condemn it in any way whatsoever, because as a genuine someone, they can, say it is legal, they have followed the right channels, that they are going to, in fact, the the money they are going to buy those products from is coming from their pockets, and so on and so forth. That may be legal, but if you look at the justice side, and we as ghetto youths, we are advocates for justice. That is unjustifiable, trust me, because we have cheaper vehicles out there, BMWs, that are spacious, that can help in facilitating their works as they claim. So why opting for those expensive vehicles, spending exorbitantly when you know that the economy of the country is on the verge of crumbling? That is not to the interest of the public. And as National Assembly members, I'm expecting them to take decisions, that will be in favor or in line with the interests and welfare of the people that they are representing there. Definitely, if you go out there and conduct a survey, nobody, maybe 99% of Gambians will not support this, the exorbitant spending on Toyota Prados. So it's so disheartening, and I think they can do better. The National Assembly can do better.
So, meaning there is no will of the people in the whole process?
Definitely. There, there is no will of the people. People did not support that. It is not in their interest, so they will not support it.
Sure. And still on the current issues, there is this, time that the youth feel like things are going against them, because we are in such days that every conversation should be about the youth. Every conversation should fall on the youth, because we make up the bigger chunk of the percentage of the country. What do you feel? What do you feel about the fact that there is no government apparatus, there is no government officials, these top-rank officials that are talking about the youth, the situation of the youth, the condition of the youth, deportation, the youth on these desperate journeys or whatsoever the youth are facing in this country, unemployment rate or whatsoever, use on drugs. So how do you feel to be in a country where you expect the representatives of the country, the government officials, to talk about these issues? And
there is the National Youth Council,
yeah,
which is the body responsible to, run the affairs of youth in this country. And there are a lot of organizations, that are using the name of youth, to run their things. If you think their representation is lacking somehow, the National Youth Council should do better, maybe in try to, because we have a lot of youths out there who are not even aware that there is a National Youth Council. We are if I thought so. Information and them being informed is lacking somehow. So they need to do better in that aspect. I'm not. We have some people who are aware, but the awareness is lacking. So there has to be an awareness creation, an outreach in schools, communities, so that people will be aware about the National Youth Council. Any problem they have, they can channel it through that, and they will be available and willing to help.
yeah. So as a youth, you expect them to do better, because come lone kadi wane moyena like they aren't doing bigger as you expect them to do, but instead, there's some lot of things that are lacking. So that I expect me. Then you want to make so like New Yorkers and effort see we make at this point in time to make so they put the youth back on track. You see when I and you feel that this is where they can have it all, this is where they can make it, because come no one can here, you see they are already discouraged, they feel like things are not going fine with them. So you take some advice, but job government be or whatsoever stakeholders that are you know that are in position to really like to make this happen. What advice do you have for them?
Well, I will advise them to be empathetic, you know, and put themselves in the shoes of those particular youths that are struggling out there to make it. Like I said it here before, we have youths out there who are living with talents, and skills that can make them millionaires, So let them try, and tap the necessary funds, invest it in these youths. I'm telling you, they have the potential, and if you invest in them, definitely they're going to realize their dream, and if they succeed, they are going to give back to the society, and this will contribute to nation building, and it will sustain the development of this country, in all aspects. So it will not be a waste if all these bodies come together, being it the government, being it private sector, international organizations, philanthropists, and everybody that can help needs to come on board and assist the youth.
Yeah. So when you say deportation is on a high scale, for the past 1 year or so, every day, I'm not Gambian, so you want a DLOC, I'm not Gambian, so you want a DLOC, I'm not New York, then process the parade, and then they might soon be on their way back to the country. Okay, we know these people, then out there, they've been living, perhaps most of them were living a better life. So they knew so what there was a fee, they can be feeling to go back on the streets, hopeless. Don't you think they can turn cruel? They can turn, some of them can turn into living a life they have never wished for. So maybe this kind of, if I put them to some burden, if I put some burden on their lives, and then like then you feel maybe like we have no hope for the future again. So that can turn them, give them a vulnerable life. So focus on it like so fake like deportation lu warla. Focus on it like engage. Like they wouldn't go back on the streets. Because some of them were on the streets before they left for the West, for Europe. So they knew you saw what they were saying, but Sandy is better than you. Focus on it, it will be too intimidating.
Yeah, definitely. That is something very, very, awkward somehow, some sort of, because it's like taking me from heaven and bringing me to hell, So definitely, if you are to deport somewhere, deportation it might be legal sometimes, because if you go to another country, and breach their laws or violate some of their laws, that will warrant them to deport you, then they have all the right to do so. But then they once deporting also should be cognizant with the consequences of deportation. Because if you are deporting those people from Europe, which has a better standard of living, and bringing them here in Gambia, definitely those people will be frustrated, because the enjoyment there, the luxury life they were living there, they will not be able to live it in this country. So you have to, the country deporting and the Gambian government, I believe, should work together and strategize, on how to assist these people. Because if they fail to assist these people, the consequences may be detrimental. Because a person that is deported, if he comes here doesn't have any opportunity, he might rebel against the system and might even go on rampage doing something, unthinkable. So it's not safe at all. So they have to create that friendly environment for those people. If they come here, maybe they support them by providing, funds for them to establish businesses, get them into skill work, talk to them and ask them about their problem, like how they're going to help them, then assist them. But if that is not done, I'm afraid, it will cause a lot of harm and havoc to the already, already crumbling system. Yeah. I think we have needy national enterprise something development something. Yeah, they are embarking on helping people. Yeah. So I believe there will be government agencies which are responsible for that. But awareness also is a problem, and people are not informed about these things. So they need to share their information to reach everyone so that all these deportees will have the chance to at least meet up with those people and they can help them out.
But
feel sad for the deportees though.
But hamngane, like most of the people, most of them have to go through some form of depression at this stage, at this point in time we are. Most of the people in deports, they have to go through some form of depression. Is that not alarming enough for the government to intervene?
Yeah, sure, the government should intervene. And I can't tell though, whether they are intervening, but I want to believe that they are intervening. Because if the government is not intervening, then definitely something unthinkable might happen. So I don't think also the country that is deporting these people will have all that hard to just bring them back in this country with no form of agreement with the government, so that the government can provide opportunities for them here. So that must be in place. I don't know exactly, but then I think the government has created avenue for that.
But the government have never acknowledged a time that they have agreed upon, a term on deportation with let's say Germany, because Germany is a country that is deporting on a high scale. But there is no time that the government has ever acknowledged the fact that they reached upon an agreement with Germany to deport Gambians. So this is the brouhaha that people are feeling, this thing they are feeling that maybe something is wrong somewhere, but who are those people who got this document signed? So the government is not talking, and these are the people that we put in that position. These are the people you expect as Gambians when we joke at these trying times, when you want to take when you want to what steps they are on to make things clear, to clear the air. Gambians okay, this is it, this is what it is. Because we need to know. That is the transparency we are talking about.
Thank you.
So listen the and then man suma health sandi ma fele, yosa health sandi la fele, demba helam sandi ko fele. And now ko hamantene is the one responsible to clear the air for us. Kumu wax ñu ne hey dundu ngeen ko foge, this is how it is. Wala ki mo nekk di ki mo wax diga. Is when that person, those those people are sitting in the comfort of the offices and they refuse to clear the air for us. Would that be pathetic?
Yeah, you said it here. Accountability and transparency is key in everything. So I'm calling on the government, to do such things. They need to tell us, because right now you hear all forms of allegations, deportation agreement when he was once the Minister of Foreign Affairs, others will be telling you that blah, blah, blah. So there is a need for transparency. They need to tell us, clearly with evidence that yes, this is how things went, so that we will know actually what is, what transpired in the deport. That warrants the government to deport you. Definitely they will deport you. So those out there also in Europe, our brothers and sisters in Europe, they should, try and abide by the laws of those countries. I don't know actually how they go by it, because some people also will be alleging that these people are innocent people, they have not done anything wrong. They just go on rampage, pick them in the streets and then, deport them. Anyhow, some of them will come here with nothing, absolutely.
Well, there's this guy who was deported. After he came back, he was invited on a platform, for an interview. While Lu was more in like, mom, when he was being arrested after closing from work, then he was heading home. So sister Bilanko TA, Silenko one, okay, you need to come with us. So Silan one, okay, for what reason Silenko one, then never deport. So, but the last year, a lot of me were more deport because Mamunta understand, me America Mohammed is due to expire over 2 years to come. So he has the legal right to stay in Germany according to law. So lan mota mi war ko deport. So koku mu ngon wone there are people ño xamantene defuñ dara, they have never been charged with a crime, but yet ñu ngi leen a deport si. So mom lolu moko jaaxal, and government is not talking about it. So lolu nekk na loo xamantene daf ko naxarlu bu baax. Okay, last time tamit with regards to Ousseynou Dabo, the leader of the UDP party, last time at their conference, at the party conference, the party anniversary conference, the Mafa Demon to cover the press conference, I had to impose this question myself to him, that this is something that people talk about on their dining tables, on their way to the markets. This is something that is being signed. Why can Moko sign? It was during your time in office. So what do you say to this suggestion that you might have a hand in the process? So Momlu Wahmoine, he has no hand in it. And by the time he feel or there is anybody, any Gambian who business come he challenged you to provide the evidence, name more sign. He is challenging everybody, the whole country, who feel he has a hand in it. He is challenging you to provide the evidence. So if in a serious country,
that goes
in a serious democracy, kun more sign those documents. So we expect the government to come out and tell people, hey, you know what, mom la, wala du mom la, this is the evidence.
Yeah.
So we don't know what is what, which is which. You see, then I'm right, because they so what they deport me from Germany to the Gambia. There are certain protocols you have maintained. You are a guest, but a deportation happen. Don't want to pick on somebody. Just one time, there were these Gambians in America that were due for deportation. Then they do what the risks we might put ourselves into. So then like receive fee. Nyari country, then you want to in collabo. Then you want to deal with the processing. There are certain legal documents you have maintained. Then you want to sign. For nyari for a form of like a dialogue. Sila deportation be muna come into effect. So this is where the youth don't get it. This is what is stressing out everybody.
Definitely.
And as we speak, this month just this September, I think on the 20th, just sometime around something when.
This goes to indicate that people just are just alleging about the deportation as to who, signed the deportation, and this is creating confusion and even some fracas. They should stop, um, this politically motivated move, to confuse and try to divide, and rule the youth.
Do you feel, don't you feel
We need to clear the air. There is a need to clear the air. For accountability purposes.
Exactly.
We need to know, who and who is responsible for this and that. Definitely. And this deportation thing definitely is something quite worrisome, because it is getting too much now. Like you just said, 25 people again, and recently they just deported some people not long time ago. So there is a need. Right? There is a need for transparency. We cannot depend on baseless allegations, politically motivated allegations. This guy sent it. This one, it was him. It was her. We need to know. We as youth. In fact, right now there is access to information bill. So, but then if you, I don't know the right channel though, where we can go and access this or even ask questions so that they will answer and tell us who exactly is responsible for all this.
Yeah, to clear the air.
Okay,
these are the realities we're facing. Yeah. These are the parties in.
And the government definitely needs to help some of these innocent deportees, like you say, those who they just rampantly pick in the street like that. They have their valid documents, everything. There is no grounds on which they are deporting those people. That is totally unacceptable. Because migration is a right. If you migrate to that country legally, illegal migration or irregular migration is what is condemned. But if you have all your documents right and travel to that country, and at the end of the day, they just pick you just like that and bring you back for no other reason, just based on an agreement that two countries have, that is definitely senseless and uncalled for.
So meaning
it is unacceptable.
There should be a genuine screening before any person, any Gambian, is duly deported from another country to the Gambia. The government should know this person is being charged on this basis, on these grounds of crime. To know actually this is the fact that this person is being deported. If it is worth it or not.
Yeah, if it is worth it, like for example, if a brother or any sister does or murders people or go on rampage and kill, people abroad there and they deport him based on those grounds, that worth it. We support those kind of deportation. But then a brother that has all his documents right, travels to Europe, and pick up a legal job, working, hustling hard, and helping their families, going about their life peacefully, and you just, deport that guy, just like that, that is unacceptable and disheartening. Every conscious-minded person will not support that.
So government should make sure they do something about it.
Exactly.
It gets even worse.
Exactly. They must, I will say with emphasis, they must do something about it. Otherwise, the consequences may be detrimental.
Even on them?
Even on them. Because now the number is getting big, and you never know what is in these people's mind. They might influence people, and these are some of the things that could even lead to a revolution. So this is something serious, and the government needs to take bold steps and resolve this issue
before it gets out of hand.
Exactly.
Use on drug is increasing by day. What's your take? Use on drugs is on an increase by day, and then there is no way. I think, the parties involved, the stakeholders and the government is doing everything possible to see to it that youths give it up. Youths don't see the use of illicit drug is a way out. But this is increasing by day. What influence does it have on you as a youth, seeing that youths out there being on drugs, being high all the time, and not pursuing their careers instead, but they feel so comfortable to be on drugs?
This drug thing,
How does it negatively impact you as a youth, seeing your own comrades living such a life?
Yeah, some people choose to, engage or involve themselves in this drug thing. It all boils down to the corruption, again, nepotism and unemployment in the country sometimes. Because these youths are out there, looking for jobs. Some of them have massive talent. They can get into something legal, and unlock the poverty code and help their families. But then they don't see any future. The future is limited, because of the backgrounds that some of them are coming from. They are underprivileged and they are not opportune to have, they don't have the chance, to get into this thing. But then I will not say that they have to sit down, roll their sleeves, and get into the markets maybe, or try to pursue it. But then if you try that, sometimes there are so many challenges along the way. So to a point, I will not blame them. It all boils down to the system. The system needs to help the youth. That is the reality. Most of these people that get into these hard drugs, they don't wish to get into them. If you go out there and converse with these youths that are, taking these hard drugs, they will tell you, bro, that's over matey boy.
It's not a choice for them.
It's not a choice.
It's just out of the despair that they
So we just have to use it, boy. You feel me? So that is the problem now. If there is equal opportunities for the youth out there, believe me, boy, the use of these drugs, by these youths will be a thing of the past. And if you look, if you assess properly, you will realize that who is bringing these drugs into the country? Where are these hard drugs coming from? So
I think that's the big question.
that is the $1 million question.
How is this drug being shipped into the country?
Because I believe these drugs are not grown into the country. Because you are not even crazy to.
So it is not being manufactured in this.
It's not manufactured
meaning
here.
there are hands that
These pills, this gow, this ginabas thing, they are all coming from outside. So, and with route, they're coming through the airports, maybe through Ports Authority. So there has to be proper screening, and our brothers out there also who are bringing these drugs into the country, needs to think about other positive means, maybe creating opportunities for the youths, get into something that is legal. Instead of shipping those drugs here, destroying our youth, you can use that money to invest those youth that has talents and potential, maybe in writing, football, or anything else, and they will benefit from that, and it will not kill their talent. That thing is better than bringing in drug, investing in drug, destroying the youth.
So meaning it is worthy enough to be a converse drug team.
We even the drugs right now is rampant in the country, so they need to. The government has tried, but then they need to do. There is more, there's more there. There's more to do, because even the anti-crime unit, was established for that purpose, to curb the use of drugs and crime, in the country, because it is mostly the use of these drugs that leads to this crime, So before even thinking about establishing this anti-crime and even these drugs one, it will help them. What will help them is to stop the importation of these drugs. If there are no drugs in this country, if drugs are not imported, because drugs are not manufactured here, if they are not imported here, then there will not even be a need of, this the establishment of anti-crime and these drug squad.
Thank you so much. Lastly, your influence is growing bigger by day. What legacy do you hope to leave behind as the Ghetto Pen? And what message do you have for the youth of the country?
Yeah, every soul must test death. You feel me? So, if you are living in this country, or if you are living in this world, you have to think about, making it a better place. Like making it better than the way you found it. So there is a need to leave a meaningful and lasting, legacy. You can do that in so many ways.
Whatever craft you are engaging.
Whatever craft, and this includes, but not limited to, maybe embarking in tree and mangrove planting, which will, in one way or other, help in sustaining a better future for the plants, for the world, And you can even construct a community garden. You can even write a book that is inspirational. If you publish it, it might go a long way to uplifting
the youth
and also inspire the youth. So definitely, everybody must think about leaving something positive in this world before leaving this world, because it is common knowledge that you're going to leave. But if you leave, what do you leave here? Have to make sure that you leave something positive and something that will help future generations.
Thank you.
So the message that I have for people out there is simple. Like President Bongo, every conscious-minded person or ghetto youth, I call on you to make noise. You really to make noise, to condemn corruption, injustice, and all form of negative vices that may retard the growth, peace, and development of our beloved country.
I hope so. Every youth out there get this message that you sent to them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
for
our beautiful listener viewership. We have just come to the end of the show. This was your show, Generation Next, to the youth out there and everybody that is watching us right now. Ala baraka bake na jibe la lumiro motive kam pantana banko kan ani Gambia banko kan jam. Generation Next show. This is our first show in Minnesota, Goreketa BD, and this show is gonna come your way every Friday. And now, body surwal kana mi ba motive kam. This is Generation Next. The nekana jilbeli show buñ am tay ci Kasa TV, and then show bi dafa na ñëwal every and each Friday ci kanam. And then we're gonna say thank you to you all until we meet next Friday.